next to him before leaving. Eventually Frank reaches the cemetery, where he visits his family's graves. He leaves them the key to his arsenal and cries as he talks to them, telling stories of what his children were like as babies. Frank admits he doesn't know what else to do, so he raises his gun and gets ready to self-delete. Memories of his wife and kids flood his mind, begging him to spend time with them. This is soon replaced by horror when his kids start bleeding and his wife yells at him for not being around that night. As the memory of their murder resurfaces, Frank almost pulls the trigger, but he stops because a hallucination of his daughter Lisa appears in front of him. Lisa waves at him with a smile and Frank tries to apologize to her, but she disappears. Frank yells in frustration and has another breakdown. Back in town, Frank is walking down the street while the Curtis hallucination makes some dark jokes about the situation. He asks Frank what his purpose is before he disappears. The next hallucination is Frank himself wearing the Punisher gear, and the real Frank stares at him in shock before leaving. When he arrives at his apartment building, he is startled by Barracuda and a woman in a wheelchair. She begs Frank to hear her out and explains that her whole family was murdered, describing the feeling in a way that really reminds Frank of his own tragedy. However, things take a dark turn when she starts telling the story. Her husband was shot by the pool while hanging out with naughty workers. Her oldest son was a cop and got his neck slashed while he was getting busy with a woman. Her middle son and his guard were shot outside the family restaurant. Her youngest son was known for abusing minors and was in his car right next to his mother when the driver and guard were shot. Then he was dragged out of the car, and he said "I love you" to his mom right before his head was stomped on. It turns out this woman is Isabella, the matriarch of the Ganucci crime family, and all these murders were committed by Frank. Isabella tells him that he took everything from her and spits on his face as she points out that not killing her too was a mistake. Now she's put a bounty on his head and Frank's location will be shared with every criminal in the area at 6:47, the time her last son died. Isabella then leaves as she gives him the finger, promising to watch him die. Frank looks around in worry, already noticing some thugs watching the area. Then he returns to his apartment to wash up as he wonders how to proceed. A hallucination of his friend Karen appears and asks him if he's scared. She points out he's not a victim, he chose this. She says that he left the Marines to be with his family, but at home he never felt truly comfortable. He was always thinking about going back to battle. He failed his team, failed his family, and now he's failing the city. Karen yells at him, calling him a coward. Frank has a nervous breakdown and wonders if she's truly there, so Karen hugs him and assures him it's okay. She promises to always be there for him, but there's something else for him to do. She makes him look at a clock before she disappears. At that moment someone knocks on the door and chaos can be heard in the corridor. Voices ask Frank to come out and children cry in other apartments as criminals search every corner for him. After grabbing a knife, Frank looks through the peephole and sees a masked man walking off. Another guy fails to open Isaiah's door, so his friend repeatedly hits it with a machete. As soon as the door opens, a gang bursts in and Isaiah's mother screams in fear. A thug throws water at Frank's door,